Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work.
Welcome to Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Let's Talk is proudly presented by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. FrankWalkerLaw.com. Let the conversation begin on Let's Talk.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Lee with Let's Talk, and I have in the building Hollis Lewis.
Hello.
And the famous Miss Otey, Lisa Otey.
Hello.
Interesting time of the year. Football, training camp. I call it training camp, and I don't know what
It still is, right, Hollis?
What do they call it? Like
training
camp?
Or
Yeah.
do they call it just camp or something like for like the youth football? Or no, I should know that. But high school football, what do they call it in high school?
Summer camp, training camp. Same
Okay,
thing.
Yeah.
all right.
Camp.
Hollis, we went through camp at State,
Yeah.
and as a coach, I can make the case that it went well and da 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 da. But I'm interested in your take on what does that, when you hear training camp, what is it that goes through your mind? What is it that you think about when you think about you being in camp?
Man, this is
The
like
challenge
the
of it.
dog days of summer. I mean, it was, at that time we would do 3-a-days, and you would have 2 meetings in between there. So you would
Right.
have, you're going to have your morning practice. You'll go back to your room, eat, rest, and then you have probably then your individual meeting, and then you have your afternoon practice. Then you would have a team meeting or a walkthrough, and then if you play special teams, you would have an additional practice. So it was a time to, like, if you weren't already in good shape, to get in shape for the season. It was a time to learn your playbook. But I think more than anything, when I think back on that, it was really a time to to build with your teammates. Like, you really got to know guys. We stayed on campus, and you're working from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day and that was like 2.5, maybe 3 weeks at that time.
Yeah.
So it was like it was a camp. Like,
That was
that's
old
what it was.
school camp.
Yeah.
Right. And when I go back, to
And full pads too.
Yes.
So, and I say that full
yes,
pads, bro, practice.
yes. It was a 4-week. I can remember back in the day, it was a 4-week camp. And to your point, Hollis, like, the majority of that was really conditioning, running. Everything that you did had to do with some kind of running and all of that kind of stuff. And then you on the sidebar, you learned your plays, terminologies, and all those kinds of things. But, man, the coaches really made you run as much as they could. And again, when I coached him at State, I know for a fact how challenging that was because I had already been through it. So I was going to give them exactly what I had. Not really to not.
Hollis is like, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
It's just
Thanks
what
a
I
lot,
knew.
Coach.
I mean,
Yeah.
the reality
Yeah.
of it was really
That
just
was
what
the way
I
it
knew.
was.
Yeah.
That's the way you did it. That was like the old school kind of physical endurance. You pushed yourself to the point of exhaustion, basically.
No walking anywhere. No, if you take a break, the only time you're taking your helmet off back in those days was if you were going to get a drink.
And that was limited, right?
That was limited.
Like, you had
Yeah, we
strict
didn't-
water restrictions.
Yes.
That was not very
Yeah.
smart.
No, it really was not. But I'm a creator of that. I would do that. I would be like, we're only getting water. Like, you're not just going to walk over and just go get you a drink of water. That didn't even make sense to me.
That showed weakness.
Disrespect.
Being thirsty and disrespect. Disrespect, dehydration, and disrespect, they go hand in hand, I guess, right?
I guess.
I mean, and you had heavy contact, right? I mean, it was out
contact.
of the gate.
I mean, most of the time, it was definitely some form of contact. It wasn't always,
11 on 11.
all out contact, but there was definitely contact in every practice, and that was going back to like high school. You know what I mean?
And you had the different types of tackling drills, blocking drills, all of those kinds of things that they were live. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And you couldn't, and if you were the kind of guy that wasn't really trying to go hard, you better have told the person on the other side, because on the other side of that dude's thinking he's got to go hard because he's thinking that Hollis is going to go hard.
Yeah, now it's different. So now like they don't. I think you can't really do 2-a-days. There's limited on contact. They don't always practice full pads. So I think now like there's much more of an emphasis on like learning your skill set, learning your playbook, and you're expected to come into camp at tip-top shape, from high school to college. So because you have such limited time. Yeah. And they also have flex practices where they do 7-on-7. So they have a lot more practice, but it's not as intensive maybe as what we did in those 3.5 weeks.
Yeah. I think with the modern camps, there's more of a focus on safety, health,
100%.
and hydration.
Yes.
And limited water. We're not going to be stingy with it. And I think they even have like kind of integrated cryotherapy into some of the NFL type of camps.
Definitely would depend on your resources, but NFL definitely.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys heard of this. Do you know that some of them wear GPS vests?
Yeah, like the little I saw those.
I didn't know that.
I didn't.
Get your heart rate and get your different vitals.
It tracks your to make sure that you're not to the point of exhaustion, because we know the more fatigue that you experience, the more injuries that could possibly happen.
Are you saying that's the team that goes through that process?
I think a lot of the players wear those, especially
a lot of the players
NFL, right?
Yeah,
Hollis,
they were really popular a couple years ago, but it's just like what I say about football now is like when we talk about the conditioning, when you talk about the safety features, it's much more of a science now. They're getting them vitals and making sure that you're good inside and out.
Yeah. I'll tell you something else that I think is a little bit different too, and maybe you guys can let me know what you think. But I think now these training camps have become more of like an open door type of, social media's there, the news, fans, it becomes more of like an event, like almost similar to like pre-games. Or even a game. I mean, it used to be, weren't your practices kind of closed door and secretive during your camps? You didn't really want people there?
Yes. To me, like even back in high school, there was really, like, you didn't even have parents staying
That's what
and
I
watching.
mean. Like, you just didn't have people there.
You just didn't have them because you did not want anybody to see what you're doing. And I hate to say this because I know that there was a lot of those things that were wrong. But if I was going to start with football again, I would want to come through that process exactly the way that I came through it.
What?
I just would.
Nah, I would want to come through this area, and and I'll say this because there's number one, it's just more information. So me being a quarterback, like it was like you being able to have like all the game film on your phone, and it's much more.
Well, not so much that, not so much the technology, but the actual physicality of how you played. Would you want to do it the way that you did it? The way that you were made to do it, or would you want to?
I want to play in this era because I think it's much more. To me, like I said, I just think you just have more tools and resources. I mean, obviously, like if you're playing in the old school era, you have to be tougher. Right. There's no doubt about it. And that's not a knock to the guys. It's just a different game because of, the rules and how you could hit and how you can get hit. But I like this era because there's just so much more information. And again, that's me predicated on me being a quarterback.
Right.
So maybe if I was a defensive lineman or a running back, it might be different. But because I play quarterback, I want the information. And these guys have so much more information. Because even if you have you can find coaching not only within the context of the people you have around you, but you can search the web for anything you may be not as proficient in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Makes sense. I mean, to me, I think it's just a smarter way to do camp is the way they do it now instead of doing, you said 3-a-days. I mean, I was thinking just most programs are 2-a-days, right? Or
I would say at the time it was 3-a-days.
There was some teams.
Too.
Well, they would come back, and the special teams wasn't as drastic as your offense and defense or your first 2 practices.
Right.
They just were trying to make sure they introduced you to special teams and those kinds of things. And a lot of people didn't even call them 3-a-days. It was basically 2-a-days with that being practice. Part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of something that happened towards the end of camp, not necessarily.
Possibly.
All of it.
When you're getting closer to the season beginning, and also I think the way that they do those, they do the one major practice plus walkthroughs.
Yeah.
I think to me that's easier on the body, especially at the NFL level. I mean, we all know we see what happens every preseason. I mean, these guys usually are in tip-top shape, and they still find ways to get hurt during the preseason, especially the guys that are trying to make the team. Yeah. So, the least amount of. But
I will say, I mean, I think there is something to be said for like just having that contact, like Coach is saying, because like if you're pounding, your body kind of gets used to it a little bit. So a lot of you'll see these guys having these just like minor injuries, just being hurt a little bit, just because their body's not used to that contact. Because I mean, we're looking at it now, and they don't even have pads on.
Right.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just I think it's like it's good and bad.
And most of these teams, don't they travel places? Like I know the Giants, weren't the Giants at the Greenbrier this past week?
Yep.
Yeah.
So most of these teams don't do their camps at their home field now, do they? They
No,
kind
It's like baseball.
Yeah.
We would go to Mankato State.
Okay.
Which
so
was
you guys
probably,
traveled too back then.
Yeah.
They put them in Minnesota?
Yes.
Okay.
We wouldn't. We had a practice facility. Mm-hmm. Then we had the dome, but we would go to Mankato for camp. The only reasoning because you can't say fan base. Because if Mankato State, they have football, and all of a sudden you're bringing Tommy Kramer and these kind of guys to campus,
right?
Because school's not in yet.
Yeah.
So their football team would be coming in as we are kind of wrapping it up, but there's people driving and packing the stands while we're practicing.
Yeah.
So you weren't getting away from them. You were just getting away from a different crowd.
Yeah, I think it's smart, man. I think, I would love to see and I would say this is for all sports, like basketball and football. I would love to see preseason games being played in states that don't have
professional
NFL
sports
teams.
or whatever sport.
Yeah, I would love to see a preseason game like the Browns and the Steelers, like at WVU or Marshall.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's kind of cool what they do at the Greenbrier. They usually attract an NFL team.
I think it's smart because you'll end up having some kids who go down there and now they'll be Giants fans or they had the Saints down there.
Right.
So I would love to see that kind of get expanded where you not only have bits of your training camp other places, but actually play some preseason games.
I'm not even sure. They don't have 4 preseason games. I mean, preseason games.
I think they cut it back, didn't they, to 3?
3 or 2, now.
Yeah. And see, I think if you had
3 or 2,
I thought if you had 4, it makes
3.
Yeah.
That's right.
If you had 4, okay, it would make sense to be able to take 3 of those on the road to a place.
I would love that.
And again, it's making money too.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to make money.
But it's not as much money at playing in the home stadium of that particular team. These owners.
They're not going to let that fly.
Yeah.
They're not going to let a dollar escape them.
It would be.
It would be cool. Like I was saying, like we had a game at Marshall Stadium or Joan Edwards Stadium in Mountaineer Field. So
yeah, that would be cool. All right, you guys want to walk? We can kind of walk into this conversation from that one. So we're talking about training camp and players. Carl, you mentioned something in our text thread about former players shaping the rules and regulations of football.
I would I think, and I know for a fact, gosh, I can't think of his name now. Brad Edwards is on. He played with Minnesota. I know is on one of the committees that do the shaping and regulations and all that kind of stuff. I really truly believe that when you start talking about the safety part of the game, when you start talking about rules and regulations, I think that room should be filled with players more than somebody that's in a shirt and tie.
Exclusively players?
I'm not going to say exclusively.
Okay.
But
more players than not.
More players than not. Because wouldn't you want to ask, well, we were thinking about changing this particular rule because we think, this if you hit somebody this particular way, it could be unsafe. So we're trying to make sure that the guys are safe. Why are you not maybe going to the players to get that answer of whether or not that should be something that you change?
Are they doing that, Hollis?
I don't think so.
I don't think I think they have some input, but I don't think they have obviously the NFLPA but they're not exclusively
right. Because I don't think that you should. I think the majority of the rules should basically be based on the players' thought process of it, because I think that they would know. Because we could sit in the room and we could talk about it and we could say, oh, yeah, look at this on this example on a film clip, right?
Right.
And we could make that change. But are we making a change that is realistic? Okay. What would the players think? Why don't we ask the players and see what they're thinking? And if we want to do this, let's before we put it out there, let's talk to the players. A group of players. I just think so.
I mean, I see what you're saying, and I think the players should have input, but I also think there's some implicit bias because obviously if you're a defensive player, your perspective is going to slant defense. If you're offense, the player's going to slant offense. And I think sometimes...
But if it's just safety, I'm talking safety issues only.
But if you're talking about safety issues, again, I think sometimes players can just think about the execution of the game and they're not necessarily looking at the bigger picture, right? Because, I mean, even though some of the rules around safety are asinine and it's hard and it slows the game down a little bit.
Right.
But I think it's coming from a place of trying to be as safe as possible, to get it right, and also to not stunt the growth of the game. And I think players sometimes, y'all don't necessarily think about it like that. You're thinking about more of the purity of the game as opposed to a bigger picture. What does this look like in 10 years? Are we going to have football? You know what I mean?
I'm going to go with Hollis on this because it could be a conflict of interest, right? Depending on the player's position and the team they played for. And just like you just said, talking about your past training camps, you did what you always did. That was what you felt like worked. And so you might protect those past habits according to the rules of the game for your own benefit, because that's the way it's always been done and that's the way it should be done.
I would say when I went to state, and I can say this openly.
Not to put you in a corner or anything
No.
I don't want to get fired tonight.
Trust me, I've got more reasons to fire you than that. One of the things that I would say if I were to go back, if I were getting another opportunity at West Virginia State and I was starting over, would I change something specifically? The only thing that I would probably change would probably be the amount of contact that we actually did have. And the only reason is because
you would change that.
I would change that because I do know now, maybe even the hard way, that, more contact isn't always good.
Right.
But it wouldn't, I don't think I would change some of the drills that are contact based, because the game is contact. And, and Hollis, there's some guys who just don't like contact. And and to play football and not like contact, one, you're not probably going to be a starter. You're probably just going to be kind of a guy who's roaming around a little bit. And if you're good enough to be out on the field and yet you still show the fear, because you can see if somebody doesn't want to be, they're afraid of being hit or afraid to hit. I mean, I think that the game has to consistently has to be, quote, physical. And
but if you're on the rules making committee, how do you balance that with like safety? Mm-hmm. How do you balance that from a player's perspective?
And I do think that's hard. And as a player, if I were to say, if you were to say, basically, as you're saying, okay, what would you do to create a safer situation for, let's just say, tackling? Mm-hmm. Okay, so everybody's going to say, well, you keep your head up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you keep your head up all the time? Will you keep your head up all the time? No.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's just it's impossible.
It's virtually impossible. So even the implementation of the rules, the only thing that comes out of that is a flag.
I mean, I see. I mean, like I said,
it's a good point.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean,
Clipping,
you're right.
hitting in the back, all of those face masks, all those things that you know that everybody in the world knows is illegal.
Yeah, but
it happens all the time.
But I think it's one of them situations in which, again, to me, it's almost like it's subjective versus objective, and we're asking like referees to like balance these things against safety, but also against how the game is supposed to be played.
Yes.
So it's like you have this sort of weird dichotomy of like, how do we like tip the scales to balance all these things? And to your point, you can't. So I think, do we say, are we going to let, like, far as the safety sort of be? Or the other way around, are we going to let safety be a little bit more weighted? Or are we going to let sort of the purity and the sanctity of the game be more weighted? Like, what do we do? And I think as a player, I think you guys have trouble with that part of it, because you're always going to tip the scales in sanctity of the game, keep it as pure as possible, even though we know what the ramifications of, you know, not being safe. We look at Ahmed Green, right? Mm-hmm. Got Parkinson's disease. Chris Johnson.
Just diagnosed.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's ALS. It's this game is
brutal.
Whew.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
And the bad, and again, to your point, Hollis, I agree with you, because when you're a player and when you have reached, especially, let's just say if you reach the major college level with the opportunity to play on Sunday, when you get there on Sunday, and what you realize is the physicality of the game and the importance of it, of that physicality.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And to ask me not to be, like, that doesn't even make sense.
It can't make, because you can't go halfway.
Yeah,
you got to go all the way.
There's zero chances of you, because if I'm running to tackle you, if I want to ease up,
you can't do that.
I can't, because you're gonna speed up, and if I'm trying to say, well, I'm not going to hit him as hard as I really could, now who takes the blow?
Yeah, and I don't know. I just think when we talk about safety, not to go off on a tangent, but I think that we have to have, like, and I would say this is for all sports, but particularly like football, we need significant investment from the league, from ownership, as far as like trying to figure out, you know, scientifically, like all those things around CTE, all those things around Parkinson, ALS, all these sort of neurological things that have happened, like to figure out to the best of our abilities to make significant investments to say, hey, these are the signs and symptoms early, or these are the things we need to watch out for, or these are things we could change, these are the things we can implement. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, that's what I would like to see as far as in addition to go with sort of those rules, because I think we kind of got to start there and then work our way backwards. But we need significant investment from these organizations.
Yeah, I totally agree with that statement, and I also think that your perspective when you think about players and contributing to the regulations and rules of the game, you're probably going to have two sides of the thinking. You're going to have the people like Carl that believe in the old school hitting hard.
Yep.
And then you're also going to have the people over here that maybe, like you just said, have been affected in some neurological way by the game. And they're going to think, we're going to have to push for this long-term type of game where people aren't getting hurt, aren't getting hit as hard, because we're seeing the brain injuries, the neurological disorders that are coming with these players playing in the NFL for periods of time. So I think when you think about the rules and regulations, you're going to have these two camps kind of
100%
looking at each other, the ones that are affected and the ones that aren't.
But I would also agree, and I'm going to cut you off, but I would also agree that I think most players, regardless of that sort of camp, they're not going to be for things like adding games.
No.
They're not going to be for things like playing overseas.
I totally agree with that.
To me, that's probably where you'll have the most problems, because the players, I think, collectively would do things to inhibit revenue, because you're not going to be no player wants to go to Europe once or twice a year, or to play more games, or to do this or to do that. So I think that's where you will probably run into the most problems.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
And see, and this is why when you start talking about these people in the room talking about less, the contact. How do we adjust the contact? Well, to your very, very valid point, Hollis. Well, I'm okay with going overseas, but to play, if that's where we got to go.
Yeah.
But why are you adding games?
Yeah.
Well, we know why we're adding games. I mean,
again,
that's
because there is the money. There is the money, and I'll say it as loud as I can possibly say it. The money is ruling over the safety.
Yeah. Oh, we know that.
Because at the end of the day,
that was in your day.
Yes.
I mean, it's been that way forever. I mean, they've changed some things in the favor of the players and their safety, but overall, we know who's in charge. Money.
And if you let players have too big a voice, players gonna be wanting them guaranteed contracts too.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
It's one of those kind of
as they should.
Worker employee kind of issue that there's no real equal side to take.
Yeah.
Because again, the fan base, the owners, they're okay with all the contact. They're okay because they don't mind adding another game. They don't mind, we can do overtime this way and all that. Yeah. Anything to keep the revenue coming. And in most cases, the players, what do? Just play.
Just play.
And as long as we just play, we want to be good. So I'm gonna hit Hollis as hard as I possibly can, even if we best buddies. I got to hit him as hard as I possibly can, because it's the game.
Yeah, man. I just think, I don't know. Just to that point, this is why I'm an advocate for a minor league football season a minor league football league that's directly tied to the NFL, because I think we need that. You have to, in my opinion, you have to have that, because I think if you had a minor league system where you had the UFL and it was tied to the NFL, and you can actually send players to that you think need some work, I don't think you need the evaluation period. So I think you could probably cut preseason games to maybe 2 or 1. You could keep the season at 16, and that way I can already evaluate you in this minor league and call you up. You know what I mean? So I think we have to have something like that in order to balance the scales, because to
baseball
your point,
does it.
Yeah, baseball does. I mean, football's different, but to your point, man, you think about playing. I mean, because we're 17 games now. And if you're a starter, you're probably going to play in at least 1 or 2 preseason games.
Yep.
So that's 19 games plus maybe a playoff run. That's a lot of football at a high
level.
A ton of plays.
Yeah, that's a ton. and I always tell people, when you talk about the NFL, I heard Jake Paul, I don't know if y'all seen that on the Pivot. He's talking about, football's not that hard, I could do it. I'm like, are you insane? There's
I need to watch that.
Yeah, watch it. It's dudes that are 6'7", DNs that run like a 4.6.
Yeah.
And can bend and can rep out 4.05. These dudes are superhuman dudes.
Yeah.
You got offensive linemen who are carrying 350, 340 and can move. and offensive line 340 that's 6'5", and you cannot get around them.
Yeah.
Do you understand what the type of athletes that we're talking about?
And until
it never ceases to amaze me, these analysts that get on these
Yeah.
podcasts
Are you
and shows
insane?
and say it's easy to do any of this stuff as they sit in their comfy chair behind a camera.
I have
or in front of a camera. I mean.
I am fortunate enough to have seen some like just unbelievable players who maybe have not gotten like a lot of public attention and all that kind of stuff, national attention. But one particular player that I will speak to, that I probably never said his name on this show, Anthony Carter, AC.
Yeah, I remember him.
Look, probably about 170 pounds, no more than 72 or 3, and could be even maybe into 60 something. Okay, he beat San Francisco. He beat the Saints. He beat every team that we played in the playoffs when we went to the NFC Championship. And he would get hit. Like, people would, like, because the thought process, he's so small, let's hit him, intimidate him, get him out the game.
Right out of the gate.
Get him right out of the gate and get him out of the game.
Yep.
Could not do it. He would get up. Like, he just...
He could take the hit.
He could take the hit. I'm on the sideline. I'm like, oh my gosh, is he gonna get up? And he's up and running back, jogging back to the huddle.
Wow. Back
in that day, the challenge was for the defense, put those best guys out. Okay, and for the best guys, you had to stay in.
Is that still a mentality in the NFL?
I don't
to hurt players. I mean, seriously, because you're telling me to take them out means hurt them,
take them out,
injure them, like knock them out.
Nobody will say that out loud.
Stretcher time, Stretcherville, right?
Yes. Get him on a stretcher.
Well, I think with Bounty Gate, we're definitely not ever going to hear that. That's something that you won't ever hear again.
Yeah, nobody. And again, it's bad for. I'll say this: it's bad for a former player for me to tell those kind of stories. But the reality,
that was the way it was.
But that's just the way it was. And when I see it today, I realize that it's not that. You know. And then the question becomes, okay, what would if Anthony Carter did not know, not that he cared, but if he knew he wasn't going to get hit, how great would he be now?
Yeah. In a different era. Where we don't hurt players.
Where we don't hurt players that we look out for.
The goal is not to behead the player or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I never at any given time did I ever think about worrying about helmet to helmet.
Oh, that wasn't a thing then, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I wasn't. I never thought about. Oh,
just
gosh,
happens sometimes.
I'm going to tackle.
It's crazy.
Hollis.
That's how they taught us to hit, though.
Yeah,
they taught us to lead with the crown.
You lead with it,
and that was the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't think it was at the time.
Yeah, we didn't at the time, but it was.
Now we looking
terrible.
back at it, we realize
they lit. I mean, I remember being in a little league, and you were taught to
right there. Yep,
lead with the crown.
Wow. And then we wonder why we have all these neurological disorders coming out in these players as they get older. I mean, even. I guess modern football, it's way less than what you guys experienced, but still, I mean, all the hits. I mean, we know it's just
a game that you can't, like, if you're willing to play it, you can't help yourself. You can't really protect yourself from the nature of the game.
Yeah, because, like, again, your head's going to hit
somewhere.
Like there's going to be, I mean, it may not be like a leading hit, like you're leading with your helmet, or you may not get hit helmet to helmet.
Yeah.
But there's going to be time when that head is going to hit the turf first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen that.
What I'm saying? So it's like it's going to happen. But I say overall, again, I think hopefully, and I pray hopefully that we'll see less of the cognitive and neurological disease. However, as we're seeing, like in the training camps now, there's a lot of more soft tissue and joint issues because of, again, guys just aren't their muscles and joints are not calloused like they were, and they probably training a little too much now.
Right.
So it's a give and take.
Well, okay. So just to actually close this subject out. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in each one of your takes. If you had to pick today's games versus old school games to watch, in spite of all the damages that come with it, which would you watch?
I mean, it would. That's hard, but I would probably say old school games were just. Again, it was exciting to watch.
Mm-hmm,
you know what I mean? I mean, because obviously, in spite of everything we just said, like the hits and all that sort of things, like it was like a wow.
Yeah.
Like, so I would probably go old school just because of, I think from a TV perspective, it was just fun to watch.
Yeah. I'm going to say today's football game. I think the new school, so to speak, because I like what's happened with the quarterback, the development of the quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
It used to be the drop back and pass guy was the one that dominated all the games. These guys can move, they can run, they're fun to watch.
Point. Yeah,
that's
so
true.
The quarterback play is what gets me for today's games.
Yeah.
So just solely based on the quarterback makes you say
Jordan Love.
I want to
Jordan Love at Green Bay. Sorry, I said that out loud.
I was trying to out-talk you over that. So, because of the play of the quarterback, that's enough for you to pick today's game.
I think it was more
fair.
defensive back then, right? Too.
Don't
you feel like?
I thought, to me, back in the day, it was more running back centric.
You're right.
So,
You're right.
You're
You're
right.
right.
It was
You're right.
much more running back centric. The running back was kind of the main character on a lot of teams.
And it was there were only a few quarterbacks that you even talked about that would scramble and run,
They were. I mean, it was virtually. I mean, you had Elway, you had Cunningham.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about
Steve
further.
Young.
I'm talking about further back.
Yeah,
When,
Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah.
I
wasn't
mean,
much.
the
Yeah.
role of the quarterback's evolved. It's
Yeah.
completely different
Yeah.
than it was during that era.
But I also think sometimes that can, not that it can be boring, but I think sometimes if we're just, if the quarterback is just running around and it's kind of like you really can't get hit, and it's just.
Well, see,
there's
I
no
think
fear.
I'm tripping because you're saying that because you being a quarterback, I would think that would be the least.
Well, what I'm saying is like it's almost too quarterback centric, right? Where like if you absolutely don't have that guy, it's like it's impossible to win. Think about like the '85 Bears, who some would deem as like the best team of all time. Mm-hmm. Some people would say that, right? They won with Jim McMahon.
Yeah,
he wasn't necessarily like the greatest quarterback.
Right,
and think about somebody like Dan Marino, Jim Kelly, who some would pit as some of the greatest quarterbacks ever, who couldn't get over the hump. You know what I mean? Troy Aikman, again, a very, very good quarterback, Hall of Famer, but I don't think he's like in that all-time great class, but he was able to win because he had all these dynamic pieces around him. So, it pits a lot on the quarterback now where it's just like, and I think some teams are just like, they're too lenient on that. And they don't build the team around them. I think if we're looking at like the Seahawks have built a team around Sam Darnold. Why they can win. We look, Patrick Mahomes, if he had a better team, he probably would have 7 championship rings right now. Think about that. He went to a Super Bowl with just maybe one of the worst offensive line ever. Not having a running back. Because it was all dependent on him.
Right.
And he's that talented where he could take you to all them Super Bowls and conference championships. But if it was more team-centric, he probably would – I think we would probably crown him now as the greatest ever.
What would you watch, Carl? I know what you would watch. We don't even have to ask you.
I'm comfortable in old school. I'm comfortable in old school play.
Right.
And part of it is because I was at the tail end of it, and it was. My dad's mentality was like it's a man's game. Okay.
Oh, I know.
And so when you're
manly
being called,
men back then, manly men.
And when you say man,
Yeah.
you're gonna. I mean, that means you got to show up.
Right.
Like you can't just be out there and think like, oh, because I'm out here playing. That means I'm one of the men. No. For you to be out there, you got to go and do something that is noticeable,
memorable,
and maybe even a little bit hurtful. You know, you
see, we're back to the injuries again. Oh my gosh!
I mean, but
gotta
I'm
hurt
just
somebody.
I never had ever went out to play a game with the intent to hurt somebody. But
you just said a minute ago to take them out of the game.
But what I did do, what I did know, and what I was willing to do was, if I knew that you were really good, if I knew Hollis was really good, and he's, you know, and he's a quarterback and he's going to run, and he's running my side. Ooh, okay. I'm going to let me take a shot. You know, let me make sure he doesn't throw another touchdown pass. You know, it was embedded in you to when you get that opportunity that you do whatever is possible
to make them think twice.
Of running again. Or you should never run a slant on Joey Browner as a safety. You should never run it because he's gonna literally just knock your head off and you may not get back up.
And I think that's part of the game that's kind of missing. Because
I would say that too.
Because as a quarterback, I knew I couldn't leave you hanging over the middle. I had to be careful in how I threw this. Everything. If I'm throwing in the middle, it had to be low and let you protect yourself. So now there's no fear. You're not. You know, I remember watching a play, and you got to look this up. This is the greatest catch I've ever seen a wide receiver make. Chris Carter, when he played for the Vikings, he ran a dig. So it was probably like a 10, 12 yard
That's
dig.
an in route.
In route. The ball was high. It was a little bit high, so he had to take a little bit of jump. He put his hands in the air. He looked at it as it's coming out of the quarterback's hands, and then his head turned. So he's looking at the defender coming at him. Hands still up. He makes the catch and was able to protect himself. You're talking about elite skill. I'm talking about it's a little thing, and if you're a football guy, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't look at the ball as it was coming into his hands.
Does he have good peripheral vision, you think?
No,
that was just the trust that
his head was turned. I'm talking about
like he could.
Literally,
he knew the ball was going to get there.
He could just sense it.
Yeah, he was in line with it.
If you ever see this play,
haven't
eyes was just like I couldn't. I was just like, man, this is probably one of the greatest catches that nobody would ever even acknowledge. But his head was complete. It wasn't like his eyes were peeking. No, his head was completely turned.
Wow.
And he's doing this. So it's like those little nuances. When we talk about skill set, you have to develop a skill set around fear.
Yeah.
Because if you're coming across that middle and Ray Lewis is coming down, or Mike or Singletary or whoever,
you need to move fast.
Steve Atwater, Ronnie Lott, that's a fear coming down there.
He didn't even say my name. He didn't say my name.
Well, you on the corner.
Say Carl Lee.
Yeah, you on the corner.
I was waiting on him to give me a little pat on the back.
Yeah. So producer Matt, come on now, break the tie. They both are old school. I'm new school. What's your take? Help me out. Help a girl out here.
Help a girl out. Funny.
This is tough. When Hollis was talking there a minute ago, what it was making me think of was the there's like a parallel change between football and where basketball is right now too. It used to be a much more physical game. Now it's all about 3-point shooters and stuff like that. I mean,
that's a good point.
You got
good point.
Wembiana, who's like 9 feet tall, that can shoot 3-pointers. This is tough. But the thing that I
play the Jeopardy music.
The thing that I miss about the old school football is I feel like the tight end and your running backs had a lot more to do. They might have the ball thrown at them, but they're also going to run and they're going to block. They're going to I don't feel like all that. I don't feel like some of those positions are as important to me. I mean, does anybody even field a fullback anymore? Is that even a position?
I think one. They said like one, maybe two teams have a fullback now.
Like that. That's. I might be with the guys here.
Oh my goodness! You're all fired. I'm firing people tonight.
I didn't even think about the fullback.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely with those. I want to bring fullbacks back.
Yeah. I mean, because those guys were dogs.
Make fullbacks great again. We'll make some shirts.
That actually might make some money.
Yeah. All right, are we ready to switch?
Sure.
All right, so
do we want to talk about the girls or the ladies in the WNBA and their
Yes.
little bet? We have a clip, I think.
Yep, we need to go there.
At All-Star Weekend, you and Angel made a bet with each other on this game. Is that bet still?
This is how the rich stay rich. You gotta save this money. I'm gonna see you next week on Wednesday.
Yeah.
At night?
No, at practice.
Oh, at practice? I mean, I know y'all gonna lose, but if y'all lose, I get to have that. If y'all win, you get 400. And if we lose, then you get. No, you owe me 400. But I'm staying on it. Yeah, I'll be requesting my Apple Pay after this. But no, I mean, Paige is a great player. When you, hold her to 16 points, it's tough.
All right. Lisa, go ahead and set us up.
You want me? Okay,
Yeah, set us
okay.
up.
So that little clip that was filmed during All-Star Weekend, and Angel Reese held up $400 cash while she and Paige. Always have a hard time saying her last name. Is it Buchers?
I think it's Buchers.
Thank you. I always
Like
have to think of Bueller,
Okay.
Buchers. My age. So they were playfully wagering $400 on the outcome of an upcoming Atlanta Dream and Dallas Wings matchup. So, WNBA's social media, their official media, caught wind of it, got it, published it online, and before deleting it, they started catching backlash.
Yeah.
And all of it was because, there's a WNBA collective bargaining rule that strictly forbids players from directly or indirectly wagering on any league competition. So, the debate was it really a wager and gambling, or was it just playful joking?
I think it was playful, but it was real.
Okay.
You're having it's me and Hollis betting on something, right? Mm-hmm. It might be fun because we're used to it, but the betting piece of it is the rule and regulations that we shouldn't be doing, but we've tried to dismiss it as fun. Because we both got the money, and we're going to just have fun with it.
Especially on camera.
On camera,
That's
right?
not smart.
On camera.
Yeah.
So I think it was real. I think it was just a situation where they just did not care. She just didn't care.
Yeah. I agree with you, Coach. It was fun, playful, but it was kind of real too. But I'm all for it. Better way. I don't care. Because, again, sports leagues have decided they're in bed with gambling, and it's what comes with it.
He's not wrong.
This is the nature of the business.
You're changing me.
This is the nature of what we're doing.
I know. I'm with you. I'm going with you.
This is who we are.
He's not.
ESPN had a sports book. They're in bed with DraftKings and FanDuels and Roblox and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It goes on and on and on. This is what we are. This is the culture that we in. You're getting a ton of revenue from these gaming and prediction markets and all this other crap. So better way. Have fun with it.
Well, the league must have kind of seen it the way that you do, because there was no discipline taken against either player.
Shouldn't be.
There were no fines or suspensions. Of course, it's
They were top players. They were top players
top
too.
Players, yeah. But I think the problem with all this is it's kind of a double standard. Okay,
for sure.
Because we're letting the players. You look at the NBA and they're so strict. With their any kind of association with gambling with their players. They're very they treat it very seriously. Those players are suspended or what have you, fined. And these two young ladies who play for the WNBA walk away without even a hand slap.
I say, as long as you're betting on yourself to win or your team to win, you're not doing any prop bets. Long as I'm betting on my team to win, bet away.
But then you're opening up a whole door, a can of worms that you can't go back from.
You are 100% right, and I'm opening them up. I'm opening them up, and I'm pouring them out.
And I believe, and here's the thing that why I believe the reason why he buys into that is because the league is taking tons and tons and tons of money from gambling resources. They have commercials. They have all of that kind of stuff. But you can't do one set
of rules for the NBA and another for the WNBA. That's what I'm saying.
I think they deemed it as playing.
Yeah,
they
but
didn't
still,
take it seriously. So,
but still, I mean, if you're going to let them say, say we were just joking,
because
then NBA players should be able to say that too.
If that was Giannis and LeBron, it would be scandal. Oh my God!
That's what I'm saying. But that's the only problem I have with it.
My issue though is why are your sponsors gambling places?
Yeah.
If you're taking their money and you're advertising for them between the show or between the game, and yet you're telling me I can't gamble, you're taking the gamblers' money. How does that work?
I mean, that's definitely an issue, but I just to me, to your point, Lisa, I don't know how you, because again, I think this was playful.
I mean, I think it was.
Yeah, so I don't know how
they
you
just got caught on camera.
I don't know how you punish it. I don't know how you punish it in a real way.
But what you just said, when you look at the NBA, if we had two superstar players in the NBA doing the same thing, getting caught on film, making a bet like that, they would be punished in some way.
Yeah, it would definitely
be fine.
It would be talked about a lot more.
It would be seen different.
It would be seen different.
Yeah, it would be
That's
seen
what I'm
different.
saying.
That's true. But let me ask you this: do you think? I mean, again, $400 is a nice amount of money. But let's say they were betting. Let's say they said like 10,000. Do you think because the amount was so low that it was like, okay, they were just joking? But if Andrew was like, oh, I got 10,000, you think that the amount changes the perception of it?
I mean, it could have. I mean, possibly. I mean, that's a really good point. I didn't think about if the wager was higher.
Yeah.
But still, I don't care if it's a penny.
Yeah, it's the
concept and it's the rule. I mean,
it was the All-Star game too, so it wasn't like a. So do you think like the amount and the fact that it was the All-Star game kind of changed?
Well, okay, but let me ask you this.
I think it's what Carl said. I think it's because it's two superstars in the league and they don't want to have to do anything that might damage their look, their stars.
So let's just say we're all in the Pro Bowl, right? We're all in the Pro Bowl. You're the starting quarterback. I'm a receiver, okay, that you're going to be throwing to. Lisa's the DB on the other side. What if me and her are betting? Because what does that look like for you?
But what are you betting though? You have the context to that. Are you just betting to win?
No,
we're going to win.
Let's say I might be betting the lack of number of catches that I have.
Well, I think that's different. That's different a little bit. But I also say it's the All-Star game, so I don't think they care. I don't think the league really cares.
I think the WNBA knew something was wrong for them to take the video down as quickly as they did.
Hey, that's true.
That kind of admits a little bit of guilt.
Let me ask you this. So, around football, around the Super Bowl time, bars, different workplaces will put together a grid, and you'll bet on who the winner is of the Super Bowl, and everybody will put in $20 or whatever, and you'll have a couple $1,000 pot, and whoever wins gets that money. Is that any different? Doing that just in-house between people versus going on to BetMGM or one of these online things? Are those the same? Because to me, when I think of this $400 bet versus going on an app, prop bet, stuff like that, I think they're two different things.
I would agree with that.
But
I also think the players are playing in the game, so it's different. The average fan is not playing.
That's true.
You don't control the outcome.
Yeah.
See, I don't care how much Hollis bets against. If we're on the same team and he's betting and Lisa's they're betting on opposite teams. How can I be happy with that? Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, what you can't be betting whether against us, for us, or whatever. You ain't supposed to be betting.
I mean, that's the hard line rule. I mean, you're right, but I just think I think there is. I mean, again, when we look at this particular situation, I think this is unique because of the amount in the All-Star game. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying putting that aside, and let's say this was just a regular season.
Wait a minute.
game.
What are you putting aside?
We're putting the fact that it was an all-star game.
Okay.
We'll just put that to the side.
But they were betting on the outcome of an upcoming game between their two teams.
Yes.
So they weren't just betting on
No, that's what I thought.
I think I read that they were playfully wagering $400 on the outcome of an upcoming Atlanta Dream Dallas Wings matchup.
So they're not betting on the all-star game. They're betting on an
Future
actual regular
game
season
that they had
game
coming up.
Yes. So that's different, right?
It's different,
it
but
happened.
I also say you got the same problem. It's just, to me, it's different. So maybe,
Right.
I would say in that case, the league maybe should have handled that a little differently.
Maybe fine them.
Fine them
$400.
But to your point, yeah, that's actually a good idea. But to your point, I think they probably didn't want to do that because they don't want to make a deal out of it. They just kind of wanted to go away, right? But even with that being said, which I think is a smart move by the league, but it's just also hard, man, because we're in bed with all this.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to tell me I can't do something that we're all benefiting off of.
Didn't Michael Jordan win in Mercedes one time making a bet against somebody else in the league?
His wagering stories are legendary. So
yeah,
he had a lot. He bet a fan just they were like golfing prior to a game. Allegedly, that's why he played baseball, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Allegedly,
he liked to make bets. So did Tiger Woods, I believe. Right? He liked to gamble.
But I just don't. I mean, it's kind of do as I say, not as I do, type of deal. So I don't know, man.
See, and
it's just hard for me.
And you have these types of situations, and then you have like issues surrounding players who do other things, whatever those other things might be, and you're locked down on it's. You were told that you weren't supposed to do that, so consequences are this, and you're done. And then here's something that you are you really locked in on this no gambling, or are you just saying, well, because it's a small amount, it don't count?
I mean, you're right. I can't argue with that. Like I really I have no argument to that. I think you're right, but at the same time, I would just counter by just saying, look, man, we're all in bed with this. So I mean, we this is the life we chose. It's like your mama telling you not to smoke when she's smoking a pack a day. It's kind of hard for her to tell you.
Yeah,
don't smoke cigarettes when she's smoking a pack a day and hot boxing you in the car and everything else. You know what I mean? Going to school smell like smoke. You kind of grew up with smoke, and a lot of these. Yeah,
should we shut his mic off?
I'm saying, and it's just like like I said, you got to understand a player who's entering the NBA.
Gosh.
NFL, WNBA, and they're 20. They literally grew up their whole life gambling.
Well, I mean, that's
Think
true.
about
They've
that.
been exposed to this their whole lives.
This is part of their like we grew up with cigarettes. Mm-hmm. They grew up with gambling.
And I think your point is perfectly right.
It is.
I just
It really
think that,
is.
but if we're going to apply the gambling rules are okay for the WNBA, then we need to lessen it with the NBA as well. We can't have a double standard. We can't.
I agree.
We can't. Take these guys and every little thing that they do, persecute and prosecute them when it comes to gambling.
That's a good
and
point.
then let them get away with it scot free.
Because to your point, whether it was $400 or $10, they probably should have been punished.
Right.
Yeah.
It particularly, like I said, I assume because it was All-Star, they were talking about All-Star. But if you're talking about an upcoming game, they probably should have been suspended.
Yeah. I mean, there's no.
I say fined.
And let's,
Fine.
and,
Yeah, you can say
and
that.
then that's
Yeah.
usually what it's going to be is a
Yeah,
fine.
fine.
But come on, if they're joking about this now, are you saying this is the first time this has ever happened?
Heck.
No,
Nah.
no. This is something. This is a regular deal here to me. And I'm not saying it has to be millions or thousands of dollars, but somebody's talking about this all the time.
I don't think they realized it was wrong. Would you let somebody video you doing that if you thought you were doing something wrong?
Or they just talk. This is just the normal mode of operandi,
Yes.
like Coach said, and the camera was a sort of background noise.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, it's hard for me to sit and just have all this punitive action when this is who we are as a society and who we are as a league now.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, man. You are accepting all the gambling places to sponsor you. So I should be able to be around a sponsor, right? Like if you're a sponsor in the NFL and you're a gambling source, I can't go to the gambling source?
I'm saying,
right? I mean, I could go there, and once I get there, I've already got my money. Why can't I bet?
Yeah, and it's like, and I would say that, like, to make a comparison, like alcohol. Like, if you have an alcohol problem, they can't just throw you out. You have to get treatment. You have to rehab. There's steps and processes to this. So, to your point, Lisa, I don't think now we should have this punitive mindset when it comes to these things. We have to have a much more liberal and rehabilitative approach in addressing these issues when they come up. So.
All right, well, that was a good one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here, and we will see you again next week.